Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on Wire to Wire Sports Network. I'm a host for today, Mr. William Morgan. I also have my co-host, my brother from another mother, Mo Better. Mo, what's up, man?
Hey, what's good, Will? On a wonderful Thursday. Appreciate everybody for joining us this morning. Let's go.
Oh my goodness, I gotta lead this off. I gotta lead this man, and we can all take lessons from this man in terms of staying relevant. You just take what he's doing and just look at it. Stephen A. Smith does the best job of staying relevant no matter what the situation is. He takes every bit of what's going on and he uses it to his advantage. Now he's saying that if LeBron would have swung, he would have put hands, he would have retaliated on LeBron James. I don't think you understand. That man's 6'9", 260. He say he's 6'9", 260. I'm sorry, he's not 260. He's more like 265, 270. Sometimes people just need to shut the hell up. And I think this is one of those times he should have just shut the hell up. Why does he keep doing this, Mo? Why?
So, look, I think you led with the fact that he knows how to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Look, I think that's become a thing in social media. It's always been a thing in social media, but it's become an even bigger thing in sports media. So it's easier to say something if you never have to like back it up, right? Like this fictional moment where LeBron touches him and Stephen A. Smith is like, I'm about to clock LeBron, like a real life David versus Goliath. That wouldn't have played out like that. One, you know, and I know LeBron James not going to hit Stephen A. Smith, right?
No.
What is Stephen A. Smith? Maybe 6 foot tall.
Maybe 5'11".
Right.
5'11", 5'10".
Right. You look at him physically, and he looks like the guy that gets sand kicked in his face on the beach all the time. So I don't think LeBron James is going to punch down. There's no reason to. Matter of fact, the best punch that LeBron James delivered was going on Pat McAfee's show and not giving First Take that kind of shine.
Yeah.
That's a punch.
Yeah.
So yeah, Stephen A. can say stuff, and he says a lot of wild stuff on his own podcast.
He does.
I actually think on his own podcast, he shows you who he really is.
Yep.
And if you're really into him, you rock with him. The more I know about him, the less I like about him.
And I think it's he's a little bit more corporate on First Take. But I do agree with you on his own show. You see himself being real, and he need to get real with himself. Just stop it, Stephen A. Just stop it, bro. That was a good laugh. That was a good laugh.
Right. And I can predict how First Take will go today, at least a portion of it. They will talk about the Lakers beating the Pacers last night. That really won't be the conversation. The conversation will be that LeBron got a game-winning tip-in, which was great, especially since I'm a Laker fan. You get the win. But the conversation will be if he has Perkins on there, or maybe Legs or somebody like that. It'll be, do you know that LeBron James has I think he has the 8th most game-winning shots or something to that effect. They do a lot to keep that whole who's the GOAT conversation going, right? They do it in football season. They do it in baseball season. It's a year-round thing, and I get it. I actually believe it's smart because it's low-hanging fruit, but it's low-hanging fruit that always gives you a reaction, one side or the other. You're always going to get a reaction. So I'm sure they'll lead with that, and that'll be the conversation. And then somehow he'll go to the left and get into the whole, let's talk about LeBron James putting his hands on me. I'm sure it'll all come into play on some level. Or maybe it'll be about the fact that LeBron James was on McAfee and people on social media talking about how Stephen A. is upset because he's never done that for First Take.
Yes, it's opening day today. What's up, Tony? How you doing, man? How you doing, Seven? Got Key in the chat. Key, how you doing? Y'all welcome to the stream. ESPN creates more drama than a high school girl losing her boyfriend. You know what, though? To be truthful, Mo, And I've always wondered, and I get it. We always compare greats compare to greats.
all the time.
But when you look at, and it may be a simple way of looking at it, but I've always wondered why you looking at the Michael Jordan, LeBron debate when they play two different positions, two different responsibilities, two different paths of playing. Because most of the time when Michael was playing, who brought the ball up? Scottie Pippen brought the ball up most of the time when Michael was playing. So Scottie was a facilitator, Jordan was a scorer. Now, to me, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, a fair comparison would have been LeBron to Magic.
Yeah, I've heard that comparison, but then I've heard people say LeBron is a combination of Magic and Jordan. You have to realize two things. One, Michael Jordan played in a set offense.
Yes.
Now, he didn't play in a set offense his whole career. Early in his career, before Phil Jackson came around, he was ball dominant.
Mhm.
He always had the ball in his hands.
Yep.
But once they implemented the triangle, and he had to learn to play off the ball and let somebody else touch the ball, because that's kind of what the triangle highlights, ball movement.
Yes.
He adjusted to that. Secondly, there's the perception of, Scottie Pippen was the primary ball handler, but he didn't average more assists per game than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was every bit the facilitator that Scottie Pippen was. That's just a bad perception that people like to point out. Third, they play in completely different areas. I don't really care that they're different positions.
Mhm.
I simplify it this way. No, Michael Jordan's not going to give you 28 points, 10 rebounds, and maybe 9 or 8 assists. But basketball is broken down in real simple terms. It's scoring the basketball,
Yes.
put the ball in the bucket, and it's being able to get stops. Well, nobody did that better than Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
All the other stuff on the in-between, triple doubles and this and that, those two things is what basketball comes down to.
I keep telling people it all depends on what era you grew up. The younger generation is going to say LeBron, the older generation is going to say Jordan, but you definitely have to have LeBron. Oh, most definitely. But and I get your argument, because God rest his soul, my dad would say that he thought Kareem was the all-time GOAT.
Right.
So
you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. So let's clear something up. The conversation should go greatest of all time in terms of the greatest career of all time. They're not going to all play a game of one-on-one versus each other, right?
Exactly.
Their numbers are their numbers, and their resumes are their resumes. But remember, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame, because the NBA didn't have a Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go from that standpoint, the Basketball Hall of Fame, no one, not Wilt, not Bill Russell, not Jordan, not LeBron, no one has a greater basketball resume. Nobody has a greater basketball resume than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Nobody.
Nope. Not at all.
It's not. It doesn't close. Dominant at all levels. Championships at high school. Dominant in high school. Dominant in college. The only thing that prevented him from winning 4 NCAA championships was UCLA did not allow freshmen to play on the team. Yeah. They didn't allow that.
Yeah.
But and let me say this. He's the only guy, Will, the only guy that when they knew he was headed to UCLA, the NCAA implemented a rule that said you couldn't dunk. Do you realize that the whole time he was in college, dunking was not a thing? You were not allowed to dunk.
Yep.
And that was to prevent him from being even more dominant. They didn't do that for Wilt. They didn't do that for Shaq. They did that for Kareem.
Yep.
So I think Kareem has if you get into the conversation, if you go nuance, the greatest basketball resume in the history of basketball is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, Lord. Here we go. Stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah, that's not a trigger, because that's not a thing.
Oh my gosh.
Bill Russell's the greatest winner. It's the reason why he's never in the conversation of the best player.
Right.
He's not the best player.
Right.
We talk a lot about big threes and stacked teams. No one in the history of basketball, no one played with more stacked teams than Bill Russell.
Exactly.
When there were 7 teams in the league, and everybody said, well, every team had stars on them. No, there were 7 teams in the league, and the Celtics had all the stars.
Yep.
And there was 1 or 2 teams that had a couple of stars. So let's not act like it was the same thing.
No, it wasn't. It
Like
wasn't at all.
I respect what Bill Russell did, especially since he did that coming up through the 60s.
Yeah.
And those are hard times, and you got to respect all the things he had to deal with.
In Boston too.
Right. So
no
I'm gonna always give him his shine for what he did on and off the court. But the idea that Bill Russell is the greatest player of all time, come on, man, y'all got to stop that. You got to stop that. Even in his own era, when
he wasn't the best.
But think about it, in his own era, where he was supposed to be as dominant, as great as he was, he didn't shoot jump shots, right? He wasn't a bucket, so that meant most of his shot attempts came at the rim or in the restricted area. The man only shot 41% from the field. 41. Look, let's stop it. He's the greatest winner of all time, and he deserved that shine. He's not the greatest player of all time. And look, the only people that think that are somehow related to him are fanatical. Look, I just don't think it. He's the greatest Celtic of all time, by the way. I'm not even arguing.
I'll give him that. Yeah.
But he's not the greatest basketball player in the Celtics history. He's the greatest. There's two different things. He's the greatest Celtic because of what he did.
Right.
But nobody would say he's a better basketball player than Larry Bird.
Yeah. I will give him props, though. He gave Wilt fits. I will give him props on that. I'll give him props on that.
Look what Howard Smith said. That is so true. That solidifies Kareem's case. That's facts. I saw that movie. That guy kicked Bruce Lee in the chest and lived to tell the tale.
Yep. Man, Kareem is awesome. And my dad's dying that he believed that he respects Mike. He respects LeBron. But for everything that Kareem did, he always had Kareem on top. Always.
Like I said, I don't have any problem with it. I think when you say greatest player of all time, those three names should lead.
Yeah.
But I think that because it's not an NBA Hall of Fame, it's your career, it's your resume. I think Kareem gets lost in the conversation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep. There we go. Just like Howard just said. Yep. Just like Howard just said. What's up, Howard? Thanks for coming to the stream. We appreciate you, brother.
And he did it with shades on. Like,
yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Awesome player. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Do a little bit more current news as well. Juju Watkins tears her ACL during the NCAA tournament. What are your thoughts on that, Mo? And can USC continue to win without her?
Look, they're a good basketball team, but they're not the same basketball team without her.
No.
I think there's no question she was the best player in college basketball. It's a tough loss, not just for USC, but just for us as basketball fans. I only hope that when you have that injury, I feel like you need a complete year to heal, but then you need like another 6 months or so to start looking like yourself and feeling, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Don't rush back for next season. If she's not 100% next season, I would not risk my future. I would sit out the entire season, and then come back and play your senior year, because she's got to think about her future beyond UCLA, right? Because she has bigger and higher aspirations to play in the W, and that's how I would play it. Like, I feel that way about Kyrie. We know that Kyrie's not coming back right away next year because of that injury. Even though he's older, I don't want to see him until he's 100% healthy. So Juju is a great loss to us, because you and I both, as fans, we wanted to see her go up against Paige Becker. I wanted to see that matchup. I wanted to see that matchup. If you're a Hooper fan, you want to see those kind of matchups. So I'm just disappointed, not just for us as fans, but for her. And I just want her to get fully healthy and not feel pressure from others to come back too soon.
We got my man Brett in the chat. Brett, what's up? How you doing, brother? Good to have you here. Brett. Good to have you here. Man, me and Brett Brett, as soon as I get my schedule down, Pat, man, I gotta come on y'all wrestling show. I got so much I got to say on what's going on in the state of pro wrestling. Some of this stuff some of the stuff that I'm happy about, some of the stuff that ticks me off how they doing certain people. So I definitely got to come on that show.
Oh,
definitely.
well, you gotta hop on then and voice your opinion. I'd love to hear that.
I got to get on there. Back over to the NFL. The NFL is king, as we all know. Stephon Diggs signed to deal with the New England Patriots. Mo has secretly, as it's kept, has the Patriots had the best offseason in terms of signing free agents?
Yeah, I thought they did until they made this deal.
Don't do stuff all like that, man.
I don't know the hell they're thinking about. I like this might be one of the dumbest moves that somebody's made in the offseason.
Oh,
You're correct me if I'm wrong. Stephon Diggs is 31, 32?
31, 32 years. Yeah.
Coming off an ACL tear,
Yeah.
and you're giving him $69 million?
That's a little too much.
It's way too much.
That's a little too much money.
Even though I know you have confidence in your young quarterback, he's still a young quarterback.
Yeah.
You still have a raw young offensive line. They paid Stephon Diggs to me as if they still think he's Stephon Diggs when he was a Pro Bowler.
And he's not.
And he's not. Now, if he's healthy, is he an upgrade from what they have? Sure. But I think this is a different Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs is going to be a guy that can move the chains because he was a good route runner. I don't think he's going to make a living making big plays down the field. I don't think he's worth what they paid him, but they had a lot of money to spend.
They did.
I just would have spent it more wisely. And by the way, you also talk about Stephon Diggs, who's kind of a head case in the male content.
Yeah.
You're a team that's young and you're up and coming. I feel like they bringing in Diggs feels like we think we're like a player away for, you know what I mean? Like, why bring in a guy that's on the other side? Because it's not like he's known for being a great locker room guy. So you really want your young guys around that guy? I don't understand that move at all.
He's a young quarterback. Wouldn't you have focused more on continuing to work depth for the offensive line and maybe getting a young quarterback's best friend, a better tight end?
Yes. I would have invested in the offensive line and not just a tight end, but a vertical threat tight end.
Yeah.
Would be more valuable to a young quarterback than a past his prime wide receiver that you hope. Remember, they haven't even seen the man yet. That you hope he can be healthy and be close to what he was before he was injured.
I just don't get it.
You don't see the Texans going, man, we should have paid him more money.
Nah, I don't see the Texans crying no tears.
None, because look, I just think it was a bad move. Goodness. But I understand that they had the money to spend. Good for him.
Heading over to the NBA, we had some pretty good games last night. We got the Celtics getting a huge win against the Suns. Porzingis just showed out last night, 30 points and 8 rebounds. Can he keep up this pace while we're waiting on Jason Tatum to come back?
I don't know if he can score 30 a night, but do I think he can average in that 20 to 25 point range? Yeah, I think he can. Boston has enough scoring without Jason Tatum to hold down the fort. You don't want to rush back Jason Tatum before the playoffs. You don't want him 90%. You want him 100% because this run is going to be challenging, even more so if they actually do end up matching up with the Cavaliers. So yeah, it's funny. I asked the question, who's the best third option in the NBA? And I think you said Porzingis because we both agreed that with all teams being healthy and all things being even, Porzingis is Boston's X factor. His ability to make your center have to come out there and chase him, it opens the floor up even more. And because he's a really good weak side defender with that wingspan, he impacts the game on that end too.
I don't think he's Boston's best player, but I think he's the most important player that they have because he can swing. He can definitely swing the tide of a game. And it was good to see that from him last night. Again, like I say, that's going to be a tough out. If anybody's going to beat, that's a tough out.
What Boston has going for them, Will, is Porzingis is in his right position.
Yep.
I remember when he was in New York and people were quick to say, this guy's going to be a superstar. I didn't see it. And he went to Dallas, and they're going now you got him and Luka. You got the deadly duo. And he was what I thought he was. What he is on a championship contending team, he's a third option.
Yep.
He's a third option. He is right where he needs to be.
Your Lakers get a huge win last night, buzzer beater over the Indiana Pacers. What's your thoughts on that game and LeBron coming through doing the clutch? Because he struggled in that first half.
He didn't shoot well. But I like the fact that he stayed connected. He competed on defense. He did other things to stay engaged in the game. And you're right. Look, I don't care how you start a game, it's how you finish. Yep. And that tip, it was the game-winning play. What I didn't understand is that he was right next to Miles Turner, which is Indiana's center. And Miles Turner pretty much just let LeBron move him out the way. He didn't put up much of a fight.
No.
On that play. And when they run the film back, and they're going to see that, it's not going to be a good look for Miles Turner.
Oh, no.
Look, it was a fun game to watch. I'm going to keep it at 100. At no point in this game, even though it came down to that tip, did I ever think the Pacers were going to win. I think Indiana's a fun team to watch. And if they keep their current core together, they'll be a fun team to watch for another 3 or 4 years. But what they won't be is they won't be a championship contender. They won't be a title contender.
Nope.
We in this era, especially with social media, we are quick to look at a guy and go, "Oh, he tough. He definitely a superstar," and you label him that. I like Halliburton a lot. I think he's a terrific player. He's not a superstar.
No,
he is not a superstar. And the problem with Indiana is they have all the components to be a title contender, except they don't have the guy.
They need that alpha. They need that dog.
They have the guy in place to play alongside the guy. That's Halliburton.
Yeah.
But they don't have the guy. They even have their third option on the team. They got Siakam. That's their third. They have everything in place, but the guy.
Siakam. Last night the Clippers get up. See, last night was perfect for me. It was perfect for me last night. The Knicks lost to the Clippers. It was perfect for me last night. You saw a performance by James Harden, then Kawhi Leonard down the stretch. It looks like that when you go back and look at the standings, the Clippers took over 6th place over from the Warriors. Can the Clippers cause some noise in the playoffs in the Western Conference?
I think they have the ability to upset a favorite. Do I think they have the ability to go deep into the postseason? I don't think so. I really think that the Clippers are an older team.
Yep.
And look, the health gods have not been kind to Kawhi Leonard, right? They haven't. But if you told me, Mo, he's not going to be injured, he's going to be able to go through these playoffs. Yeah, I give them a dark horse chance on going on a deep run. But I certainly think they could upset a favorite because they've ramped up Kawhi's minutes, and he's gotten better the more minutes he's played. James Harden has had an all-star season.
What's up, man?
And Norman Powell, who was their leading scorer, is still on a minutes restriction. But once he's released, that gives you 3 guys that can drop 25 or more on a given night. Big Z's averaging a double-double. The Clippers are an interesting team. I think they're the kind of team that can catch somebody sleeping.
Zubac is having the best year of his career right now, but he is playing.
Big Z is balling.
He is balling. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they're actually a solid defensive team. So do I think they're a favorite? No, but I do think they're the kind of team that if a favorite plays and they're complacent, you can find yourself down 2-0.
I'm calling it right now. Y'all can clip this. Y'all can clip this all you want.
In 5? No, I'm just
no. I'm going the other direction. And y'all can clip this right now. Right now, I believe if the Knicks are on the 3rd place in the East and the Pistons are in the 6th seed.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
I'm calling it right now. Pistons over Knicks. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right. Clip it. I'm calling it. I don't trust the Knicks. Karl Towns had 34 last night, but it was to me, it was an empty 34. I just don't like the Knicks. I just don't think they're built for any type of a title run, particularly when you go look at their record against the top 3 teams.
I think the Pistons have the ability to upset the Knicks, but if the Knicks are fully healthy, they do have some more. They have an experience advantage, and while I think Cade might be the most talented player in that series, Brunson is so heady. He's so smart. I think he would be the best player in that series when it came down to it. I think that series, as a first-round series, that's a 7-game series. I'm here for it.
James Harden will go MIA in the playoffs, and Kawhi would be hurt. Oh, my goodness.
Well, we've certainly seen both those things multiple times.
We have. JB Bickerstaff been built for the playoffs. Okay. All right. Key agrees with me. I think Detroit can upset them too. I
think so too. But do I think it's a lock they upset them? No.
No. It's not a lock.
I think what we get is a great first round series.
I just like the odds. I'm a betting man. I just like the odds. Great turnaround, coach. Pistons winning another year before winning the series. And that may be true, but they're definitely on the right. They're definitely on the right path. Definitely in the right direction.
All they need is patience.
Yep.
Don't do a panic move. Don't rush. Continue to let that young core grow and develop, and they'll be fine. Remember, they'll get Jaden Ivey back next season.
Now, let me ask you this. We've seen a couple of good games from Bronny James. Has he done enough to impress you to make you think he belongs in the league?
I think he's a legitimate basketball player. But I can't predict his fortunes. Like I'm not going to look at what you do in the G League. I'm only going to judge you on what you do when you're up there with the big boys. But I think that we don't have to rush his development. Let him come along when he comes along. Maybe Bronny takes a big step this offseason, gets a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker. His jump shot's a little bit more consistent, and he becomes part of the regular rotation. I'm not one of those people that's rooting against him. I'm one of those people who are like, why are we talking so much about the 55th pick? I'm a Laker fan, but I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Like, we can talk about the 55th pick if he's part of the regular rotation. But beyond that, I'm not going to make it a daily thing.
All right. I'm going back. I just got a text message from my girl, and she wanted me to ask this question, going back to the world of the NFL. Is Aaron Rodgers the NFL version of Kevin Durant?
That's really good. A really good question.
She got me on that one.
They're certainly in the same neighborhood. Yeah. The difference is this, though. Durant has to be traded. Aaron Rodgers is a free agent. He can decide to go where he wants to go. He can control his own fate.
True.
But there are some similarities, especially with how they respond to people in social media.
Gabe isn't being real about it.
That's funny.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I think that's kind of interesting. I think that's a really good question by her. Like I said, I think there's some similarities. I think KD's thing is, obviously, how he's quick to clap back on social media. Aaron Rodgers is just a little off kilter, right? He's a little weird. He's a little different.
Temperament, maybe.
Yeah.
The same type of temperament, maybe.
I've heard people say words like he's mercurial. I'm like, yeah, okay. Call it what you want to call it. If I'm in the locker room with him, he's annoying.
I feel on that.
He's had a great career. He's been a great player. And I have to assume, because everybody else is gone by default, if he's going to play, isn't he playing for the Steelers?
I mean, the Steelers are just waiting him to agree to a deal.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, the funny thing is, if he doesn't agree to a deal and he doesn't go to the Steelers, Mike Tomlin ain't got to worry about that, just winning enough to get in the playoffs. They ain't making the playoffs. No quarterback?
Yeah.
Basically, you got no quarterback.
Yeah. You let the other two go.
Yeah. With the status of their quarterback room right now, you might as well run the option. run that wishbone.
Wishbone.
I mean, they let everybody else go, assuming, and Aaron Rodgers has got them hanging in the wind.
Yeah.
And because he has them hanging in the wind, if he does sign Will, he's going to get the amount of money he wants.
Oh yeah.
They're at his mercy.
This is going to be his last hurrah too. This will probably be his last big deal. And we brought up the Steelers. I still think, even though the Giants did sign Russell Wilson, I still think the Giants are going to be stuck with Russell. I still think they're going to be stuck.
It's an interesting quarterback room, those dynamics. You have real life Carlton and real life Jazz in that quarterback room. Is Russell an upgrade from what they had? He is. But if their offensive line is still going to be one of the worst offensive lines in football, then you're going to get the same results, right? Russell Wilson is going to spend a lot of his time on his back.
Yep.
So when Vegas says they project the Giants to win 3.5 games, that's not good.
Nope.
That's not a good sign. If Vegas is right, and more times than not, Vegas is right, well, Brian Daboll might as well start packing his bags. He might as well put his house up on the market.
Oh yeah. What were your thoughts of LeBron James on the Pat McAfee show?
Look, I think LeBron did what he wanted to do. He took a shot at Stephen A. Smith without taking a shot at Stephen A. Smith. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah.
Like everybody would love to get one of the somebody of his stature on their show and be able to have a conversation with him. He's a Mount Rushmore basketball player. And yet he granted that to Pat McAfee with no hesitation, something he's never done for any other show on ESPN, which I think is impressive, especially First Take. And look, I thought he had a good conversation. Look, the thing about LeBron is he gives you some good information and then he takes shots because that's what he is. He's the master of being passive aggressive, right? There was the conversation when I don't even know how I got into this point where it was like, well, if Giannis played in the 70s, of course Giannis would score 250 points in the 70s. I love Giannis, but I find that hilarious because you're playing in the easiest era to score.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're scoring 30 or 35 in this era, why would you think your numbers would go up? That doesn't make sense. Or the other thing when he said he was talking about why he wore 23, and he said, oh, of course, it was because of Michael Jordan. And he was talking about the disconnect between the fans and the players. And he said that happened around about the time when Jordan, and he did it smooth. He said, I think he retired when he retired for the second time or the third time. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
that's a shot. It's a shot. He can't help himself. Passive aggressive. That's who he is. If you're in an argument or a disagreement with him, the one thing he's not going to do is directly get into a conversation. Everything is passive aggressive. The most aggressive thing I've ever seen LeBron James ever do was confront Stephen A. Smith, which I enjoyed. But I thought the interview was pretty much what it was. You didn't. I don't think you got any real major hot takes. I think he gave you a little insight. He talked about how he could play until he no longer wanted to play. I don't disagree with that either. I just think in the bigger picture, it was a great get for the McAfee show. It made McAfee look more like a boss than ever before. And I think he got the reaction he wanted because what did social media do? Like, dang, he didn't go on First Take. Stephen A's mad. Of course he's mad. Of course he's upset. But that was a clever way to take a shot without actually saying, I'm coming for you.
Do you think the media maybe needs to, and we would be a part of it too, I guess. Do you think the media needs to, I'm not going to say don't be personable when you have an opinion or a critique of an athlete. But it's always been my thing that you need to keep it on the court. And I think Stephen A and others sometimes may take it a little too personal in terms of talking about the person off the court. And I think I think that's sort of kind of out of bounds. Do you think that's out of bounds?
I think it's out of bounds when your commentary is like you get into the head of the person and you know what they're thinking, right? Like I just said, I think LeBron took shots. Well, if you listen to the interview, that's what he did.
He did.
But I'm not going to pretend like I know why he thought of a reason to take shots. I just know he took shots. Yeah, I think Stephen A. and he's not alone. Nick Wright. There's no shortage of pundits that they'll tell you that I call it right down the middle, but they don't call it down the middle. They have favorites. And they do take shots, and then and you can tell when they're going to take a shot because I want everybody to listen because I'm talking about this, and this is not a personal take, and then they make a personal take. They always do. So yeah, I think it's out of bounds in my opinion. I don't know if you agree or not, but I think it's out of bounds.
My issue with Nick Wright is in certain guys, I know he's on a national platform, and I get that point. He's on a national platform, but to me, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan. My fault, my bad. But I won't listen to him when it Kansas City Chiefs. I will listen to him all day. That's his team. That's his team. That's the team he dies with. Skip Bayless, Dallas Cowboys. Okay, all day long. We'll listen to you about those teams. Those are the teams you covered. Those are the teams you highlight to shine every time you come on national TV. But when he starts talking about the Saints, that's when I take a step back. How do you know anything that's going on?
Right.
How do you know what's going on? And that's when I just stopped. That's why I just tune him out. Also, when he starts talking about LeBron and Jordan, tune him out. But that man ain't got nothing. He don't have a good word to say about Mike. And I think,
If you listen to Nick Wright, Michael Jordan's a drunk.
He's a drunk.
There's some of the stuff that he says, like, that's personal, right? Like,
yeah.
Look, I get it. If you believe that LeBron is the guy, you can make the case about LeBron being the guy, just talking about LeBron's career, right?
Laughable.
And everything he's done. Not, well, what about the fact that Jordan went away for 2 years because he was mentally fatigued and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, let's assume that's true.
Yep.
Let's assume that's true. And then he turned, but he came back and won 3 more titles. Like, even if that's true, let's rock with your assumption that that's true. What did he do? What did he do? He came back and won 3 more titles. Like, I don't. If Michael Jordan thought his mental health, like he was fatigued and he needed to step away, good for him that he recognized that, as opposed to trying to stay on the floor and have a breakdown or something like that. So I don't understand how you make that a bad thing, but they find a way. They do. Look, Colin Cowherd is one of the worst, right?
Oh, he is. He is.
Every time he speaks, it always feels like he's lecturing you. Right? It sounds like he's lecturing the audience. Listen to me. I'm Colin. I know everything about everybody. And I don't pretend to be that way. I know you don't pretend to be that way. We have our opinions. Look, I'm fine with people having the forever debate because it is the forever debate.
Yes.
It's intriguing and it's fun. I'm actually more intrigued with the debate within the debate. Like, when we talk about the players that are in the top 10 all time, Will, why don't we have that conversation and go, well, if Shaq's top 10, where's he actually at in the top 10 and why is he there?
Right.
Where do we rank Kobe? And I'm a diehard Laker fan, came up a Laker fan. I watched Kobe from beginning to end. Rest in peace to the Mamba for everything he did, not just for Lakers Nation, but for the NBA. But it was weird. There was a time before he passed when the conversation was, is Kobe top 10? Right? That was the conversation. Is he top 10?
Mm-hmm.
And then he passed, and I felt like the conversation went from, is he top 10 to, why isn't he top 3? You know what I mean? Like, it was weird that he passed and suddenly he got elevated even further along. It wasn't top 10. If there were cats making the argument that Kobe should be GOAT ahead of LeBron and Jordan, and they still make that argument.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Kobe fan. I admire everything about him. Look, the same way somebody might say Bill Russell's the GOAT, Kobe's great, all-time great. He absolutely, and you can say he deserves to be in the GOAT conversation. That's a courtesy to me. It doesn't mean he's the GOAT.
Right.
We're not going to put Kobe Bryant ahead of LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I actually don't have him ahead of Magic Johnson because he's not. He's a more talented player, but he wasn't a better basketball player than Magic Johnson.
Right.
Put Kobe Bryant and Magic Johnson in a game of 1-on-1, and Kobe's beating Magic 8-0. In my neighborhood, when you get up 8-0, it's called knockout. You don't play 11. It's a knock. That would be a knockout. But put Magic Johnson on the floor and Kobe Bryant on the floor with 8 other guys, Magic Johnson team's going to win.
Oh yeah, I agree. Where do you have Kobe?
I've got him around 6 or 7.
Okay, that's about me too. That's about the spot I have.
I've got him around, and I said that one time on TikTok, and I feel like I got the biggest response that I ever got on TikTok. 6 or 7? You don't know a damn thing about basketball. You don't know nothing about basketball. That's blasphemy. 6 or 7? Have you been watching? Like, yes, it's because I've been watching, and it's because I don't let my fandom overrule what I actually know, what I see.
Right.
Magic Johnson's my favorite player of all time, but I don't go, Magic's the GOAT. I don't let fandom. Nah, do I think Magic's easily top 5? He is. But I don't say Magic's the GOAT because I don't think he's the GOAT.
Right.
I don't. Right. Does he have a case for it? He does have a case. I don't think it's a winning case, but he has a case.
Oh, yeah. I said one time on Sports Report, man, which and you guys can listen to the Sports Report podcast every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on Wire to Wire Network. I said one time on the show, I got Tim Duncan ahead of Kobe. And it's like, oh man, I called it big time when I said that. Big time when I said that. And it's like, that's my opinion. I just think Tim was a little bit of a better player.
Right. But you're not saying more talented. You're
Right.
saying a better player. Those are different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the argument now because Steph has hit the, he's passed a lot of markers in terms of threes and what Steph has done in his career. And because we're in the middle of now, they want to go, well, Steph's greater in the Magic, so we're going to pass him along. And I'm like, I don't see that. I don't see it. There shouldn't be a shortcut to greatness.
No.
Right. So what are Steph's strengths? His shooting ability. He can create his own shot. Those are his strengths and his movement off the ball. But Magic came into the league and won a Finals MVP as a rookie.
Yep.
Magic went to the finals 9 years out of 12. We forget, coming off a season where he was the MVP, the man had to retire.
Yep.
He had to retire. We lost 3 or 4 years of what he could have been.
Yep.
Or what he was, I should say. I love Steph. But the only reason Steph is in the top 10 is because he deserves it for this reason alone. Steph Curry changed the way basketball's played.
Best shooter in basketball.
But he changed the way everybody else plays it because and how they shoot. So and he's deserving it. He's a terrific player, but he's not a better basketball player than Irvin Johnson.
No.
It's a terrible argument that, well, Steph can give you 30, sure, and Magic will give you 19 and 11, right?
Yep.
He'll do that.
Yep,
he'll do that. I hate to get into these arguments because when you go back and forth at some point, they feel like you're disrespecting the other great player. So I'm not going to put down Steph. I'm just going to say, remember, look, Magic wasn't a great defender, but he was a competent defender, and he was 6'9", so that meant he could guard centers, like he could play multiple positions. I admire that about him. I admire what Steph has done. The culture that he built in Golden State, he deserves all the flowers.
For sure. Now, go ahead and highlight your TikTok for me, Mo.
It's Mo Better 3000.
Now, you come on your TikTok and you compare certain players or certain era from time to time, and I love those segments. I got one for you, and then my girl brought this up too. Who was the better scorer, Melo or Kevin Durant?
That's a good one, but I'll do it this way. I think it's Durant because Durant can do it and take less shots. Look, Melo, prime Melo, and by the way, I think prime Melo is Melo with the Nuggets. Because that Melo was athletic. That Melo wasn't just a jump shooter. He could bang on you. He could play bully ball.
Yep.
He might be able to do it in more different ways, but Durant is more efficient. And Durant's ability for his height, Will, at 7 feet, to be able to put the ball on the floor and cross you and then raise up with that arc, it's Durant. It's Durant. Durant's the better basketball player. He's also the better scorer. It doesn't mean Melo wasn't a great scorer. It just means Durant's better.
I would agree. Can score more and can score more in different ways.
Right. And it's like it would take Durant 16 or 17 shots to get 30. It might take Melo 22 shots. That's not a knock. That's just a different in how they approach the game and how one is more efficient than the other.
All right, Mo. I'm going to go back to the world of the NFL real quick. I'm going over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Have they started to been building a winning culture under Baker Mayfield?
I think so. I think Baker's fun to watch. Chris and I had a running joke that we're on the Baker train every year, and he doesn't disappoint. What did he do? He leads the team to the postseason. I think the fact that they finally said Baker's their guy, that Baker has a home. Baker's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. I don't think he's one of the best quarterbacks, but I think he's that kind of quarterback. You can appreciate this, Will. I don't think Eli Manning was ever the best quarterback in football.
No.
But what he was a guy that was capable of taking you on a run and winning the Super Bowl. And he won 2.
Yep.
I think Baker's capable of taking a team on multiple runs. And look, if my team can't win, I'd be excited to see Baker Mayfield win a Super Bowl.
I'm saying with the NFL, I see your team is the San Francisco 49ers. They had a lot of defections so far. How do you fix your 49ers?
We fire John Lynch and then we move forward. Just saying. No, that sounds cruel. Look, I think John Lynch has done a lot of good things. He's done his fair share of bad things. But you know what happens when you pay everybody and you've got that quarterback under that rookie contract and you're a contender in that window, you got a shot to win it all. But once you're out of that window, you start having to let people go to make room, right, for cap space. Those are tough, hard decisions. I don't think the 49ers are done, this iteration of them. They're going to be a little bit different. And I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender next year. But can they surprise people and win 10 games? Maybe. I think so much for them this particular season, Will, is dependent on what John Lynch and company is able to do in the draft and what they're going to do with some of the returning players. Because Brandon Ayuk had a horrific injury.
Yeah, he did.
And for a wide receiver, what's your legs are everything. You have to be able to stop, start, and change directions when you're route running. So I don't know what Brandon Ayuk is going to look like heading into next year. I don't think my guess is he won't even start the season. If we get him back, what is that, week 6, week 7, something to that effect. So I think they have to hit on their draft picks. More importantly, they got to get C-Mac healthy to bolster up that offensive line because Brock Purdy's best friend is C-Mac and George Kittle.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think they'll be good. I think they'll be surprising, but they're not going to be one of the favorites in the NFC.
All right, you guys. Today is opening day in MLB. And I'm in a conundrum because, as everyone knows, I'm a disheartened New York Mets fan. I don't like the way the team is going. So I gotta get a new team, Mo. I gotta get
new team.
New team. I gotta switch my team up, man.
We don't switch teams. That's like a sports rule.
I got to, man. I don't like the way the Mets are going, man. I don't.
Now, by the way, I say that, and I want to do full disclosure. I'm a front-running Dodgers fan, so and I'm honest about it. Now, I enjoy baseball. It's not my favorite sport, but when I used to go to live games with my uncle, who, by the way, he will tell you that baseball is everything. He and my other uncles swear by it. I enjoy live baseball. And I've been fortunate enough as a casual Dodgers fan to watch Dodgers win World Series. So I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I'm walking in with my chest out, but I don't walk around wearing a whole bunch of Dodgers gears and hats because I am a casual fan and I want to keep it a buck. I haven't been there through the ups and downs. When you're the casual fan, you get to show up when things are going good.
Now,
so I'm enjoying it. And look, if games are won on paper, if everything is won on paper and people don't get injury or disgruntled or have bad seasons, well, the Dodgers are going to be in the World Series next year, right? This coming season, right? It's a lot. If you do it that way
on paper,
right? And so, on paper, I'm already planning a parade route.
Oh man, I'm thinking, but I'm not liking the way the Mets are going. They don't spend a little too much money. I'm not liking the way the team is built.
You don't think they can make any kind of noise?
No. If you look at, they've been inconsistent the past couple of seasons. I hate to say it.
So last year was just a run, right?
Last year was just a run. And I knew they were. And when they played you guys, I knew we were going to run out of gas at that point. I knew we were going to run out of gas.
I got you.
I'm doing it now on this show. You can clip this too. You can clip this too. I'm doing this on Coffee Sports in the morning. I'll do it on Sports Report this coming week. I am now a full-fledged Atlanta Braves fan.
Oh.
Well,
you know what? I don't think that's so bad because aren't you based in Georgia?
I'm in Georgia. Mm-hmm.
That's not crazy. That's not crazy at all. Now you're fully committing to the Braves.
I'm
That's what you're
fully
saying?
committed to the Braves. No more Mets. My sister's gonna kill me because my sister and me have been Mets fans for the longest, but we're gonna have to part ways on this.
I don't think she's gonna like that.
I don't think she's gonna like that either, man. I don't think she's gonna like it either. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
The Braves have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent. They had some injuries last year, but
Mhm.
fully healthy, Atlanta's gonna be a problem.
Oh yeah, they're going to be a problem and a contender. And I like the way they're built. They're always built through the farm system very well. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, I'm switching my allegiance. And Mo, to finish us off here in Coffee and Sports in the Morning, we have about 9 minutes left. I wanted to get on, talk to you, sticking with the baseball theme. The Jackie Robinson DEI comments. Did you hear about that or that controversy?
I didn't hear about the DEI part, but I knew that he was erased from history for like part of the day.
Mm-hmm.
His service record was erased, and what he had done as he served the country in, I think, World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that was erased, but then it was replayed. It got put back, right, more or less. So I did hear about that.
That to me, that's just atrocious to me. Just atrocious.
It is atrocious. It's embarrassing, but and we're a sports show. We're not going to wade into politics, so I'll simplify and go. What was done shouldn't have been done.
No.
Point blank. Period. And this obsession with the obsession with DEI, it got to stop. You got to let it go.
Yeah. I agree. Any final thoughts you want to get out there before we end the show today? Anything about the NCAA tournament you want to get out there? There is some second chance brackets out there, by the way, you guys. So if your bracket is completely busted, if you go, I think ESPN is still doing it to like 11:30. So if your bracket is completely busted, like mine, you can definitely go. That thing busted. You can definitely head on over to ESPN, get in their second chance bracket. You see if you can win you some money that way. Anybody out there you looking at the second part of the tournament to make a run?
I'm watching all the games, but I'm really interested in seeing Alabama versus BYU.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be up and down. Look, everything says the edge goes to Alabama because they've got more athletes. Sears is a baller. Sears is a beast, and yet I'm feeling confident. So I went with the upset. I'm going with BYU to upset Alabama. I'm here for a great game, and I hope it lives up to what people predict. Because that's going to be a great back and forth.
Roll Tide.
Okay, Jory, I see where you're going. I got you. But yeah, look, I'm the kind of guy, Will, that if there's multiple games on, like a crazy man, I try to watch all of them. You know what I mean? Like picture in picture. I got another TV off to the side, and I'm just roving back and forth. And then if there's an NBA game on, I'm trying to watch that too. Like I'm all over the place, and I keep, but I'm definitely going to be locked in on Alabama and BYU because I think that's going to be one of the better games of the tournament.
Now, very quickly, before we get on out of here, did you watch Monday Night Raw?
I did.
What are some of your thoughts and takeaways from that show? Very quickly,
I didn't. So the Cena thing, I get that he came out do another promo, a little back and forth with Cody, but I feel like the elephant in the closet, like they've yet to bring up why he became, I guess, Rock's champion or the connection to Rock. They don't even talk about it, right? They don't bring that up.
No,
I don't understand that because that's the biggest part of the story. And they act like they talk over it like it never happened. So I think that what started out really great with him doing the heel turn at the Elimination Chamber, I didn't even mind the promo the first week, but this past Monday, it seemed weird because they're not addressing the elephant in the room.
Hey, Jury, I'm still shocked we got this many SEC teams in the tournament as we do. Shout out to Gene because I think Gene did say the SEC would last a little bit longer than most. And they have. So shout out to Gene on that. I'm still shocked that they're in there this strong.
I mean, they went into the tournament deep.
Yeah. They did. They did. All right, Mo. Let's go ahead and finish this thing off. Go ahead and close it out for us today.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
All right, you guys. Once again, I am William D. Morgan. Got my man here, Mo. Thank you for coming through. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat for coming through this morning to check out the morning show. I'll be back again hopefully Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, we shall see. We shall see. Brother got a new job, so we'll see. And I will be on Monday nights, the sports report right here at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wire to Wire Network. I will see you guys then. Everyone have a great day. Take care.